What do you think is the biggest secret being kept from mankind? That there are people in the world that are richer than the known richest people in the world. If you are that rich, you can afford to be anonymous too. I'm not saying that Jeff Bezos isn't rich. I'm sure he is. I just believe that there are a tiny group of people that have more wealth than Bezos, and that they've used that wealth to hide the fact that they are that wealthy from the world. The location of all these hot singles in my area. That most conspiracy theories are actually the conspiracy in of itself. That certain parties are creating crazy conspiracies to confuse the masses between reality and fiction, to make them more easily controlled / manipulated. That with all of the alliances between nations, the trade deals, economic policies, mission statements, enmities, backroom dealings, spy networks, wars etc., the powerful don't have the amount of control or vision that we like to believe that they have. The big secret is that it's all a lie. The only thing holding civilization together is that the vast majority of people think that, even though the powerful are corrupt, they are at least competent to hold civilization together. They are not. 2020 is just a taste of that reality. The next possible earth-ending force. There's a very strong possibility that NASA and the space industry know what it is and when it will happen, but won't inform the general public until it passes altogether, or, if there is absolute certainty it will occur, minutes before it happens. It is because there would be literally nothing we could do about it, and they would not want to cause major havoc in our last minutes alive. The greatest unknown. That the overarching supposition of TV news, that the natural state of things is to go well, and will do so, if the corrupt and the stupid are continually exposed, is the greatest falsehood ever, and that it persists, only because the corrupt and stupid make obscene amounts of money, by perpetrating belief in it. The ability of TV news to censor all sustained, deep analysis of its effects on society, is the greatest existential threat to liberal democracy. Read Virginia Post rules works. That the Salvation Army is a giant fucking scam. They use the homeless or the courts to enlist addicts scared of jail time or ex-cons with nowhere to parole to as basically slaves. I personally went to one. I had to work 5 days a week, 40-hour weeks, for no pay in their warehouse sorting donations. But at the end of the week they gave us a gratuity of like $7. That maximumed out to $20 bumped up $1 a week. If you contradict their two-faced Christian ways they will smile at ya while they boot ya out the door knowing there is another 10 hard-pressed fuckers waiting to come in. I have personally seen an arranged marriage happen while they're from a member who joined and went down the rabbit hole of the cult that is Salvation Army. I remember these fuckers also asked for donations every Sunday from us and took like 50 cents for missionaries out of the gratuity they gave us. I have never been more morally violated in any other place in my life, but was in quite the hard spot. Fuck, I cringe on how many times I had to shut my mouth. Upon entry you have to tell them your religion. I put down atheist. My friend there is Jewish. I've never seen someone get more shit in my life for being Jewish. Not trying to convert, but just degrading them for their religious upbringing. Not really secrets, but we will never solve climate change, not for lack of technology, simply because humans are unlikely to adopt a new way of doing things in time to stop it. Every major company in the world is deep in debt and their infrastructures are flawed, which means if you pull back the curtains far enough, you realize they are all being held together with duct tape and bubblegum. Prehistory. This is very fringe, but I like to think it's true. So we have ancient sites in Turkey that are 12,000 years old made with stunning craftsmanship. Carvings of precession of the equinox, which is an absurdly minor detail that would be near impossible to know of back then. Writings of Atlantis being swallowed by the sea. Some scientists say there was a great cataclysm that hit the reset button on a well-formed civilization. Then boom, thousands of years later civilization comes out swinging, building massive monoliths we can't replicate today. More carvings of astronomy that would be near impossible to know of. This is worldwide, by the way. Dynastic Egypt built the pyramids on top of gargantuan foundation stones that are arguably a bigger mystery than the pyramids themselves. It's said a global civilization comparable to our current one existed and was destroyed, and what we think was the start of ours is actually a continuation of the previous one that used what knowledge was passed down until we could start again. Somewhere out there ancient bloodlines have recorded this and have deep knowledge of the world that was and use it to hold influence over us now. Totally a theory I know there's holes and arguments against. It's just super fun to think about, maybe not the biggest, but I find it fascinating that we still have no idea how ancient megalithic structures were constructed. All over the world we see polygonal megalithic stone structures. South America, Europe, Africa, Middle East, China, Japan, India, Thailand, etc. Hardened stones that weigh several tons, quarried, moved and cut perfectly to fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. In the exact same style as each other, but thousands of miles apart. Supposedly at a time when global travel was impossible. Did all of these civilizations come to the same construction techniques by chance? Unlikely. Some of the stones found that have been excavated weigh 1,000 tons. It's possible they were going to be cut further before placement, but we see granite stones in place in the pyramids that weighed 80 tons and were transported 800 kilometers. Archaeologists still stand by their theory that the Great Pyramid of Khufu was built in 20 years. It's made up of 2.3 million blocks of stone, each weighing 2.5 tons, with much larger and heavier blocks making up the inner chambers. This means they would have to quarry, cut, transport and place 342 blocks each and every day, 24/7 for 20 years. Around 14 blocks per hour. There are many theories people use to dismiss critiques. It's easy to say, oh, they used wooden rollers and transported them by water, but there have been several attempts to reenact some of these techniques, and they are all highly inefficient. While possible, you certainly wouldn't be able to build a pyramid that big and precise. The entire structure has a tolerance of no more than 4.4 centimeters on its side measurements. Each side is 230 meters. The more I look into these construction, the more I think we've either lost technology, are hiding it, or simply have no idea how these were built. It does explain why stonemasons and Masonic temples were held in such high regard. They knew these secrets and used them to leverage power. Interestingly, there was a Latvian stonemason who moved to America. He lived from 1887 to 1951. Under the cover of darkness he constructed something known as the Coral Castle in Florida. The entire structure is made from coral blocks, each weighing several tons. This 5 feet tall sickly man cut, moved and placed all of these stones by himself. When asked about it, he said, I understand the laws of weight and leverage and I know the secrets of the people who built the pyramids. To this day, no one knows how he built the Coral Castle, and it's a secret he unfortunately took to his death. We have many resources to make the world a better place, clean energy, affordable housing and food, etc. But we don't, because capitalists want stonks. Third printers existed in the 20th century. I don't know from when exactly, and I'm too lazy to research it, but it wasn't available to anyone because it was trademarked. Battery cars were also a thing back then, but wasn't manufactured because of capitalists. See-through solar panels exist from before 2014, but again no one uses it. If rich people donated the same amount of money they did to rebuild Notre Dame, we could clean the oceans. I could go all day with this. That money is a human construct. It's just shit we made up. We don't actually need it, and there's no need for it to be the foundation of all aspects of society. We do need some kind of economic system which would allow for barter and trade, but money and the power it holds over almost everyone is largely unnecessary. This planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this: most of the people living on it were unhappy for pretty much of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of these were largely concerned with the movement of small green pieces of paper, which was odd, because on the whole it wasn't the small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I think there is no cure for asthma because pharmaceutical companies want you to keep paying for medications just so you can breathe. I have no medical proof of this, but you never hear about trying to find a cure for asthma or anything like that. I'm guessing they do the same for other things as well. What the hell is being kept in Area 51 and all the other government run areas? And extraterrestrial life. We've had released footage of UFOs forever, and the government tried to release some footage, further confirming the footage, in like April of this year. There was a podcast I listened to that had the guy who took the photo talking on it. I just want absolute confirmation on whether or not they are real. I'll be satisfied with either yes or no. I don't really care what the answer is. I just want an absolute answer. Cure for cancer. Drug companies and healthcare benefits greatly from treatments, drugs, long-term care, funeral services and research companies. If cancer is cured, then they will lose all the research money that is given by people, companies and other government programs. Drug companies benefit the most from cancer patients. I believe if they have one, they won't expose it because they're one of their big cash cows will be gone. We have drugs to sustain life to a livable standard for most things after all these decades, but yet nothing for cancer but surgery, death and some treatments that cause all these other side effects. That all our tech, right around the time the transistor was invented, is all reverse engineered from alien tech in Roswell. Seems like after whatever crashed in Roswell in the 40s, technology has rapidly gotten better. I.e., if the Roswell crash never happened, we would still be using vacuum tubes for everything. There is no grand conspiracy or grand plan or any shadow powerful order. Everything is chaotic and random, and occasionally there are people who are greatly benefited by the chaos, and it's only because of confirmation bias and history being written by the winners that we think there's a thread. At best you have a government conspiracy, but worldwide, absolutely no chance. And if you don't believe it, try project managing 10 plus people and tell them not to tell anyone else. The earth isn't round, not is it flat. It is a strange shape called a negative direct-agonic prism, which is a sort of 3-dimensional ribbon frame shape. We live in the inside of the frame bit, and the sun and moon pass around the frame like a chain link. The sun is a ball of highly magnetic metals called corium and solarium that are attracted to the moon. One side of the sun is pulled towards one side of the moon so quickly the sun catches fire. The moon is actually a type of crystallized rock called iridium, which acts like a kind of natural light vacuum. The liquid form of iridium, more commonly referred to as iranide, makes up black holes along with a purified version of corium and solarium called coride and soilite. This means the moon draws all the light into itself, making it dark at night. Stars are the little pinpricks it didn't quite pick up. The moon is drawn forwards toward the sun, since it's a big source of light. The sun moves just a little faster than the moon, so sometimes it catches up to the moon. This is called a solar eclipse. Lunar eclipses are the same thing, just from a different point of view. When the sun gets too close, its negatively charged side repels them away from each other to start the cycle again.